Hello learners, welcome to this course on preparation of research proposal in social sciences. Today we are in module 6 and lecture 27, which is based on selecting the appropriate design of the study. We have discussed many components which are of very prime importance in forming a research proposal, but today the lecture which we are going to discuss here is the more functional aspect of your research. Whatever you have articulated in the form of introduction, rationale, research questions, objective, hypothesis, all things are going to be in action today with the help of this lecture, that how you are going to select the appropriate design for your study, how you are going to execute all the things what you have thought, prepared and articulated. So let us discuss this key learning themes for today's lecture. Understanding research design, understanding research approach, overview of research design, quantitative design, experimental versus observational, qualitative design, exploring in depth, select the research design on the basis of objective, and checklist for selecting research design. So let us discuss all these key learning themes one by one. So let us begin. Understanding research design. This is very important to understand that what is actually research design, because when you have a clarity about that what is research design, you actually execute and do your reviews also, that what kind of a design is suitable for my objective. Because what you have formed in a form of objective, what you have formed in a form of a hypothesis which is to be tested, you are going to execute all that things here within design of your study. So what is research design? You can see here on the screen. Research design is the overall plan or blueprint for conducting a research study. It outlines how you will collect, measure and analyze data to answer your research question. It is a framework. It is a framework that guides what data will you collect, how you will collect it, how you will analyze it, how you will ensure the results are accurate and meaningful. So with this thing you can understand how significant research design is in the overall research process. And when you are making a research proposal, you have to mention that which kind of a design you are going to use. Which kind of a design you are going to use in a research to achieve your objectives, and most importantly, the design which you are using in your research is whether is able to achieve your objective or not. One more aspect you can see here, a research design is the logical and systematic plan prepared to direct a study, specifying the methods and procedures for acquiring information needed to structure or solve research problem, ensuring the scientific rigor necessary for credibility of finding. This is another important aspect, that whatever finding you have in your research, its credibility, that whether you have obtained a good finding which is really valid, which is very important, is going to be understood and looked at by research design. Because if your research design that you have selected is not appropriate, it raises a very serious question over credibility of your finding, whether whatever you have find is credible or not. So you can see here, it's a plan, it's a blueprint. On the basis of that, you collect, measure and analyze data. All things whatever you have thought and articulated is coming into the process here. How you will collect, what you will collect, all things are being covered in the research design. Some more definitions of research design. Research design is the plan or proposal to conduct research involving the intersection of philosophy, strategy of inquiry and specific method. Research design is the plan and structure of investigation conceived to obtain answers to research question and to control variance, emphasizing the importance of organizing research to ensure both validity and systematic inquiry. These are the two important definitions that you can see here on the screen, that how your research design supports you, how your research design helps you in order to execute your all plan. Understanding research approach. This is very important and crucial for a researcher to understand research approach. Your research approach is a kind of a supporting idea. On the basis of that, you can select your research design, because initially you have to understand that what kind of a research approach you have, whether you are going to do a quantitative study, whether you are going to do a qualitative study, whether you are going to do a mixed design, what kind of approach you have, and on the basis of that approach your design can be visualized. So let us see on the screen. Research approach refers to the broad plan and philosophical orientation that underpins how a researcher collects, analyzes and interprets data to address a research problem. Research approach establishes the philosophical and strategic foundation for how research will be conducted and how knowledge claims will be justified. Some of the key determinants in selecting an approach: nature of the research problem, research objective, philosophical stance, whether it is positivist, interpretivist, pragmatist, what kind of a approach, philosophical aspects it have, types of data requirement, numerical or textual. So these are the aspects. On the basis of that you can understand your research approach, as well as identify and understand that how I have to move towards some certain research design. Types of research approach. Three major types of research approaches are there. First is quantitative approach, second is qualitative approach, and third is mixed method approach. Understanding research approach. Now let us have a brief comparison among this quantitative, qualitative and mixed method. You can see on the screen we are going to discuss four different aspects of this approach. First is data type, second is aim, third is analysis, and fourth is key methodologies. So when you have a quantitative research approach, generally your data type is numeric in nature. Aim to test theories, measure variables. Generally in a quantitative research we use to test theories, measure variables. Analysis, if you are going to a pure quantitative study, then surely your analysis will be purely statistical. Key methodologies: experiment, survey. When you are going for quantitative, generally the key aspects are, the key methods are experimental methods and survey methods. Now let us discuss qualitative. You can see here on the screen. Data type in qualitative kind of a research approach is textual or visual. Here I will just give one example, that when you are dealing with a quantitative kind of a data, you will have in form of number, like achievement test of a student, 30, 40 achievement of a student, 30, 40, whatever you obtain on some certain achievement test. But when you have qualitative data, for example, I like mango, it's a kind of a qualitative kind of a data. I do not like this, I hate this. These kind of statements are kind of a qualitative data. Aim of qualitative data: exploring meaning and experiences. When you are going to dig into the experiences or other aspects of a subject which are very qualitative in nature, you have to adopt qualitative research approach. Analysis: thematic content analysis or content analysis, or some other techniques as per the requirement of your study, like grounded theory and other case study. Key methodologies: interview, observation, case study, etc. Now come to mixed method. In mixed method you will have both kind of data. You will have some data in the form of number also, some data in the form of text or visuals also. Aim, combine strength of both. It combines strengths of both. And analysis, integrated. Integrated means you will have some aspect, some objective treated by statistical treatments, and some objective you have to do with the help of this qualitative techniques like thematic and content analysis and other aspects. Key methodologies in mixed method, survey, interview, etc. Survey plus interview, etc. Now, quantitative design, experimental. A very useful kind of a design that we use in a quantitative approaches. So, let us discuss it. First is purpose. Why to use experimental design? It is very important for a researcher to understand that when and how to use this design. It is not only about that you are understanding some certain research design, but at the same time you have to understand that when you are going to use some certain kinds of a experimental design, when you are going to use. So, purpose is clear, see here, to establish causal relationship between variables. Causal relationship between variables. Key features: researcher manipulate the independent variable and control other variables to observe effect on the dependent variable. Here you can utilize this aspect that whenever you have this kind of a situation in your research, then you can move towards experimental research design. Randomization. Subjects are randomly assigned group, treatment, control. Control group is present. When you are doing experimental research, control group is present. Example, testing a new drug by giving it to one group and a placebo to another. So, when you have this kind of a situation, you have to look towards experimental research design. Next is observational. Purpose, to observe and measure variable without intervention by the researcher. Key features: no manipulation of variables, the researcher observes natural variation. Randomization, no random assignment. Control group often absent. Types: cross-sectional studies, data collected at one point in time. Cohort studies follow a group over time. Case control studies compare people with and without a condition. When you have this kind of situation, then you are going to have observational research design. Example, observing the relationship between smoking and lung cancer in a population. So, I hope you are clear that when to use experimental, when to use observational under quantitative research design. Now, let us have a short comparison between this experimental and observational in the form of a table. You can see here on the screen. We will compare these two designs on research rule aspect, randomization, control group, causal inference and example. So, let us see experimental design first. In experimental design, researcher role is to manipulate variables. Randomization, yes. In experimental design, we do have randomization. Control group present. Causal inference, a strong causal inference. Example, clinical drug trial. Observational design, you can see here. Researcher role, observed without interference. Only observe. Randomization, no. Group control, often absent or natural. Causal inference, weaker associations. An example, smoking and lung cancer study. So, this is how these two designs are different. You can use according to your requirement and nature of the study. Now, come to the next point, that is qualitative design, exploring in depth. There are certain kinds of qualitative design that a researcher utilizes and make use of it on the basis of demand of the study, nature of the study, that if you are going to do some certain kind of a study which demands phenomenological study, then you have to utilize that study design. So, let us discuss all this one by one. First is phenomenology. What is the purpose of this kind of design? Explore and describe lived experiences of individuals regarding a particular phenomena. Focus how individuals perceives and make sense of experience. Example, understanding the experiences of chronic pain patients. Ethnography. This is another kind of a design, qualitative design. What is the purpose of this design? Study the culture and social interactions of a group in their natural environment. This is very, very important, and understand that here you are going to study a group and their cultural aspects, their social interactions within their natural environment. It is the key that if you are doing a study in a natural environment, it is turning into the ethnographic study if you are exploring social and cultural aspects of some certain group. Focus, where it focuses, customs, belief and everyday practices. Ethnographic generally counters the customs, belief and everyday practices, and that is how you go into some certain society to explore their practices. Example, observing and describing rituals in remote community. Third is grounded theory. What is the purpose of grounded theory? Generate a theory that is grounded in systematically collected data. Focus, explains processes, actions or interaction. Example, developing a theory about how a student adapt to online learning. This is very, very important to understand that all qualitative designs are specific with respect to their need and demand. They are specific. For example, when you are going to study any group, any social group, and their culture and social interaction, their related aspects, their custom and beliefs you wanted to study, then it is highly suggested and recommended that you go for an ethnographic qualitative design. Because here once again you have to understand that what is the nature and context of your study. If you are understanding the nature and context of your research properly, definitely you are going to make a correct decision regarding your designs, because there are several kinds of a design as we are discussing. So whenever you are in a state to select design for your study, look into the purposes of the study first. For example, here I have used phenomenology, ethnography, grounded theory. What is the purpose of this study design? What is the purpose of this design? When you will use it? And if you can understand that when you are going to use this certain kind of a research design, then definitely make a match with your research design. Make a map with your research demand, that what I have thought as a research design and what is my demand of the research. If it maps together means suitability is there. For example, you are going to explore custom beliefs of some social group, then you can prefer ethnography study. So these are the things that a researcher has to be take care when selecting a research design. Case study and narrative research. These are also two important qualitative designs that are very, very important when you need to use it. Purpose of the case study: conduct as an in-depth analysis of a single case or a few related case. Very, very important. What will be the focus? Detailed contextual analysis of a person, group, event or organization. What is the example? A detailed study of leadership in one successful startup. Now you can see this process, that what will be the purpose when you use case study, and when you use case study what will be the focus of case study, as well as an example. Next is narrative research. Purpose: explore and interpret the stories and personal account of individual. These are also very important kind of a research design. Now you can see here that if you are doing any research which is based on interpreting stories like other personal autobiographies. You are looking into a narrative kind of a research design, because you have to explore this thing, something which is personal accounts of individual. So you have to utilize, and you can utilize narrative kind of a research design. What will the focus? Chronological experience and identify formation. Example, analyzing life story of refugee. So in a social sciences we do this kind of a research also. And when you are doing this kind of thing, like you are studying and analyzing autobiography, biography of someone, or any story, or any kind of a literary materials that you are exploring with some certain intent, you can prefer narrative kind of research design. Now let us have a quick comparison over this qualitative design. First of all, we'll discuss phenomenology. What is the focus of phenomenology? Lived experience. This is the focus. Prime focus of phenomenology is lived experience. Example, patient coping with chronic illness. Patient coping with chronic illness. Ethnography. What is the focus of ethnography? Cultural practices. Example, tribal rituals and traditions. Grounded theory, building a theory. When you are using or trying to do or build some certain theory, then it is recommended that in a research design you utilize grounded theory. Coping mechanisms among cancer survivor. A very simple example of grounded theory. Case study, deep study of a bounded system. Deep study of a bounded system. Example, leadership in a specific company. And at last, narrative research. Life stories and experiences are the key focus of narrative study, and they are very interesting. Whenever you are going to do this kind of studies which are based on life stories and experiences, then definitely you are not going to use a experimental research design. You are not going to do any other kind of design, because it suits to the narrative research design. Example, migration stories of a refugee. Now, very important thing to be discussed, that you are going to select research design on the basis of demand of your study, nature of your study, but one major component is there that also plays a very crucial role in terms of selecting research design for your study. What is that? It is research objective. So, selecting the research design on the basis of objective. Let us see here. Objective, to test hypothesis or establish cause and effect. You can make a note of this, that what is the basic intent of objective. In a box number 1, initially I have written intent of the objective. I have not written a full-fledged objective, but we have to understand intent of the objective, like to test hypothesis or establish cause and effect. If your objective is based on these kind of aspects, then choose experimental design, because you are actually moving towards quantitative kind of a design. The moment you say that you want to test or establish some cause effect relationship, mostly chance is there that you are moving towards a quantitative design that may be experimental. Goal, determine causal relationships between variable. Features, manipulations of independent variable, control group and randomization. Second, objective, to explore and describe phenomena. Now, when your objective has this intent, and I am just reminding it here that I have written intent of the objective. How objective has some certain kind of intent, demand, you have to move accordingly. So, when objective demands to explore and describe some certain phenomena, choose descriptive exploratory design, qualitative or quantitative as per the suitability of your objective. Goal, understand what is happening without necessarily explaining why. Features, observation, case study, survey. Another type of objective intent, to develop or build a theory. To develop or build a theory, you have to identify that your objective is intended among which type, and on the basis of that take decision. Choose grounded theory design when you have this kind of intent. What will be the goal? Generate new theoretical frameworks for systematically gathered data, and features will be iterative coding, constant comparison. Next is objective type 4, to understand lived experiences. When your objective focuses on lived experiences, then you will choose phenomenological design. What will be your goal? Capture the essence of human experience. Feature, in-depth interview, thematic analysis. 5. Objective, to study cultural patterns. Now you can see here in a very systematic order, the moment intent of inquiry in objective is changed, the whole research design is changed. Here, to study cultural patterns, choose ethnographic design. Qualitative, goal, understand group behaviors and cultural practices. What will be the feature of this kind of a study? Participant observation, field work and immersion. Objectives, to analyze association between variables without manipulation. For example, which variable is affecting which variable in what manner, you are going to see. Choose observational or correlational design, that will come under quantitative research design. What will be the goal? Identify relationship but not causality. Features, survey, longitudinal studies and cohort studies. So this is a brief idea about what kind of a research design you have to select on the basis of your objective. There are other factors also that I have discussed with you, that on the basis of your research approach, demand of the study, you will select some certain research design. But as a researcher, it is very, very important that you understand your research objective also. What research objective is demanding? For example, if your research objective is demanding that to test some hypothesis and establish the thing, you are not going to use ethnographic study, because ethnographic is a qualitative design which focused on examining the behavior, cultural practices, ritual, beliefs of some certain group. It's a cultural study. So this is how you form and select your research design on the basis of intent of the objective. Checklist for selecting research design. 6 important aspects that you have to take care whenever you select your research design. Define your research objective. You have to understand that this is my objective and you have to define it, that what I am going to actually do, because writing research objective is not everything. You have written in a very formal manner that this is my research objective, but as a researcher you have to define to yourself that yes, this is my objective and I intend to do this and this. Determine the type of data you need, most important, what kind of data you need, and then it can help you. Identify your situation to control variables, whether you are in a state or in a position to control the variables which you are targeting properly or adequately. If yes, move forward. If no, change the plan and look to the other research design. Consider the research setting. This is very, very important because it's a very practical thing. Whatever kind of a research setting you will have while doing your research, this is very, very important, and you as a researcher can understand it very nicely, that what kind of research setting you will have, and in that setting is it permissible or not. For example, doing ethnographic study. For example, if you go to some tribal groups and you want to do ethnographic study, you have to look into the research setting whether they will allow you to do or not, whether you will be allowed to do or not. So look into this aspect also. Time frame of the study is very important. What is your time limitation? What is your time frame? Do and select the research design accordingly. And last is resources and practical constraint. How much finance you have, how much resources, other resources you have, and what will be the practical constraint in utilizing and adopting some certain kind of a research design. For example, when you are selecting a descriptive survey research, then definitely you have to be ready to go to field. If you are selecting any kind of a narrative research design, you should have a competency of reading and analyzing and articulating the text properly. You have to identify it, that how you are going to do these things. So these are the important 6 checklist. Whenever you are forming a research design or selecting your research design, please take care of these points. Concluding discussion, how to select the research design. Research approach, understanding the research design is key for a researcher. Take care of this thing. By research design, ultimately you are going to achieve the objectives of the study. So understand the demand of the objective, because it actually supports you in selecting design. Last is understanding the suitability of a research design as per the context of the research. So these are the 3 important things that we can take from today's discussion. Take care of these things, and I believe that on the basis of these things you will be able to select the appropriate research design on the basis of your requirement for research. So thank you so much.